Let's get started in Sukhasana, easy cross-legged seat, or Siddhasana like me, heel to heel. Closing down the eyes and just taking a moment to tune in, bringing awareness to your breath, beginning to consciously deepen the length of each inhale and exhale, breathing through the nose. When you're ready, slowly blinking open the eyes. Taking your fingertips off to either side and take a big side bend over to the left, rotating chest up towards the ceiling. And then from here, rotating chest down towards the knee. And then walking the hands forward, take a forward fold in the center. Before walking hands over to the right, and then reaching up into a side bend on the second side. Rotating chest up, and then rotating chest down to the knees, sweeping the arms forward, folding, and then coming to the left once again, coming up into a side bend, and we'll continue switching from side to side a few times. You can speed this up. Sweeping forward and then coming up into side bend and switching. Nice, coming back to center and just switching the cross of the legs. Coming to sit up tall, inhale, reach the arms up, and exhale, take a seated twist to the right. Inhale, sit up taller, and exhale, twist a little bit deeper, rolling the right shoulder down and back. On your next inhale, return to center, lifting up the arms, and then exhale, twisting to the left. Inhale, lengthen the spine, and exhale, twisting. Unwinding, reaching the arms up, and then releasing them back down. Come to lie on your back. Knees are bent. And then hugging right knee in towards the chest, giving it a nice big squeeze. And then extending the leg up towards the ceiling, pointing and flexing the toes a couple times. And then taking some ankle circles in one direction. And then the other direction. From here, pointing the toes and then sliding the hands up towards the ankle as far as you can go for a hamstring stretch. We just want a bit of sensation here, no need to force the leg. And extending the left leg out, toes hover, and then curl the head and chest up towards the right knee. Reach the arms forward, engage the core, lifting with the chest, squeezing the tummy in. And hold. Nice. And release. Hug the knees into chest just for a moment. And then we switch sides. So hugging the left knee into the chest. Give it a nice big squeeze. And then when you're ready, extending the leg up towards the ceiling. Pointing the toes and flexing the foot. Point and flex. Taking some ankle circles in each direction. And then come into stillness, sliding the hands up the leg. And find a hamstring stretch here. Breathing into the sensation that you feel. From here, extending the right leg, toes hover off the ground, and curling the head and the chest up towards the left knee, reaching the arms forward, curling up, engaging the core, and holding. Keeping the legs nice and active, pointing the toes. And then release, hug knees into chest. Take a little rock from side to side if that feels good for you. And then taking hold behind the thighs, rocking and rolling up and down the spine. And then eventually rocking all the way up, coming onto hands and knees, tabletop position, and we'll move through a few rounds of cat-cow, spreading fingers wide, inhaling to arch the spine, and then exhaling to round, really pressing through the knuckles, and moving in time with your own breath, making this nice and slow, and trying to use your whole spine for this movement. Just make this your last round. Come back to a neutral spine, draw the low belly in, reach your right arm up towards the ceiling, and then thread it underneath the left arm for thread the needle, reaching the right arm forward, coming up onto fingertips. And then maybe reaching the left leg back and lifting the toes, finding your balance. And just take one more breath here. And then slowly unwind, reaching the right arm up towards the ceiling, and we'll switch. Inhale, left arm reaches up. Exhale, threading left arm underneath the right for thread the needle, reaching the right arm forward. And then option to take the right leg back and lift it up for a balance. We're going to explore a few balancing postures today as we warm up towards our peak posture, bird of paradise. Release, lifting the left arm back up to the ceiling. And then from here, tucking the toes, lifting up the hips, coming into downward facing dog. First down dog of practice. Feel free to take any movements that feel good here, maybe pedaling out the feet, shifting hips from side to side, finding some little twists, whatever works for you. And then eventually coming into stillness. And just shortening your stance ever so slightly. We're going to take a twist, so bending into the right knee, taking the left hand to the outside of the right shin or ankle, and then turning the gaze up towards the left armpit. And release and switch sides. Knees can be bent or straight here. And then release, come back through down dog just for a moment, and then take some baby steps up towards the top of your mat for a ragdoll, catching hold of opposite elbows and gently swaying a little bit from side to side, knees bent, draping belly over the thighs. And then taking the hands behind the back, interlacing fingers and reaching the knuckles over the head for a shoulder release. Shoulders might be quite tight. If this is very uncomfortable, this is just an option, so just don't do it. And then release the hands if you've got them clasped, and slowly roll up to stand. We'll meet in Tadasana at the top of our mats. And we'll just take a moment here to arrive in Tadasana. Reconnecting with your breath. And then from here we'll flow through Surya Namaskar A 3 times. Inhale, reaching the arms up above the head. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, half lift. Then exhale, stepping back to plank. Lower all the way to the belly for the first one. Inhale, baby cobra. Exhale, lower and press back to downward facing dog. We'll take 5 breaths here. Inhale and exhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Bending the knees, look forward, stepping up to a half lift on an inhale. Exhale to fold. Inhale, arms reach overhead. And then exhale, hands through prayer, Tadasana. Inhale, arms reach. Exhale, dive it down. Inhale, flat back. And exhale, step back to plank, maybe chaturanga this time, or lowering to belly. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra, your choice. And then exhale, downward facing dog, hips nice and high, really lifting up the tailbone. Finding that long, rhythmic breath. And then bend the knees, look forward, stepping up into a half lift. Breathe in. Breathe out, bend to fold. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana, arms reach overhead as you rise to stand. Exhale, hands through prayer. Nice, last round. Inhale, arms lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, maybe floating back all the way to chaturanga this time. Inhale for your back bend. And exhale, downward facing dog. And we're going to stay in down dog this time and come into our first flow. On your next inhale, reach your right leg up towards the ceiling, three-legged dog. Exhale, knee to chest and step it forward, lowering the back knee, coming up into a low lunge, reaching arms overhead. Scissoring the inner thighs together to find your balance, grounding down through the front heel. Catch hold of your left wrist and take a side bend. Finding a nice deep stretch along the psoas. Upright your spine and then lower the hands down to frame the front foot, lifting the back knee and come into an easy twist, reaching the right arm up towards the ceiling. Lower the hand down and then step back to plank, flowing through Vinyasa. Nice deep breath in and a nice deep breath out. Second side, left leg reaches up towards the ceiling. Bringing the knee in towards the chest and then stepping forward, low lunge. Reaching your arms up, taking a nice big breath here. And then catch hold of the right wrist for your side bend. Release back up to center and framing the front foot, lifting back knee, finding your easy twist, left arm reaches up, 3 breaths here. Unwinding your twist, inhale, step back to plank, exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog, and exhale, downward facing dog. On your next inhale, right leg lifts up towards the ceiling and bending the knee, opening up the hips this time. Take a couple breaths here, really squeezing the heel towards the bum. Right knee lifts up high. And then level out the hips, stepping the foot in between the hands, finding your balance and then lifting up into a high lunge. And we can bend the back knee here to help lower the tailbone down towards the floor. From here, catching hold of yoga bricks or props if you want to use them. We're coming into a long pyramid, so straightening through both legs. Nice, so really working into the hamstring here, getting it nice and warm. Maybe flexing the right toes up towards the face. And maybe sinking a little bit deeper into the fold. Nice. From here, rebending into the front knee, moving your props aside, and then heel toeing the foot into the center of the mat, and we're coming up into a warrior two. So just taking a moment to make any adjustments needed. Look at your stance. Checking that the knee is tracking over the second and third toe. Nice. Inhale, reverse your warrior. Exhale, come back to warrior two. Inhale, reverse. Exhale, side angle, taking right forearm to right thigh. Reaching the left arm up over the head, wrapping the shoulder forward so the tricep is rolling forwards. And maybe looking up at the fingertips if that feels okay on the neck. Transitioning from here into runner's lunge. And then we're going to come into long pyramid once more. So straightening through both legs, flexing the toes. And then back into runner's lunge. From here, right arm reaches up, easy twist. And we're going to transition into a side plank. So rolling onto the outside edge of the left foot. Stepping into side plank, really using the core to lift up the hips. Nice and strong in the arm, really pressing through the shoulder. And then come down into plank, Vinyasa. Nice, let's take a cleansing breath. Big inhale through the nose. And then out the mouth. Inhale, left leg lifts, bending the knee, opening up the hips. Leveling out the hips and then hugging the knee in towards the chest, stepping the foot forward. And once you find your balance, coming into high lunge. And maybe you're bending the back knee, lengthening the tailbone down. And then lowering your hands to the mat or to your bricks for long pyramid. After a couple of breaths, maybe flexing the left toes up towards the face. And then just gently easing yourself a little bit deeper into the fold. Just being patient with your hamstrings, no forcing. Nice. From here, rebending the front leg. And then heel toeing the foot into the center of the mat, cartwheeling the arms up into warrior two. Bending into the left knee. And taking the gaze over the left middle finger. Tailbone lengthens down. And on your next inhale, reversing your warrior. Exhale back to warrior two. Inhale, reverse. And exhale, side angle, left forearm to left thigh. Right arm reaching over the head. Finding that external rotation of the right shoulder, wrapping the right tricep forward. And then release it back down into a runner's lunge. From here, we're straightening both legs, finding that long pyramid just for a breath. Or 2 breaths, I might have lied there. And then rebending, nice. Coming into our easy twist, lifting the left hand up towards the ceiling. And from here, transitioning into side plank, finding your balance, maybe lifting the gaze. And then releasing back down into plank, flowing through your Vinyasa. Once you get to down dog, lowering the knees, taking child's pose, finding rest for a moment. If you had the knees together, take them out a bit wider. You might have noticed an absence of Floofy Bruce today. He's just sleeping behind my wooden screen. If you have a little peek at the bottom of it, you might be able to see his little fluffy face. When you're ready, coming up, and we're going to meet back in a downward facing dog. From here, walking your hands back towards the feet, so we're in a forward fold at the back of the mat, taking the feet hips distance, wrapping peace fingers around the big toes. Inhale, lift the chest, and exhale, folding forward. If the space is available to bend the elbows, bend them out to the sides. Inhale, look up. Exhale, release the hands, and taking the hands to the hips creases and lifting up to stand. Nice. From here, we're going to work a little bit more on balancing to get us ready for our peak posture, bird of paradise, which is a balancing pose. We're going to begin in tree, so externally rotating the right knee, lifting it up into your version of tree pose, taking hands to prayer or overhead. Or if taking half lotus is in your practice, we can find half lotus, taking the foot up towards the hip crease, finding a bind, reaching the hand behind the back, and then folding forwards. So only folding forwards if you have the bind, the half lotus bind. Don't fold forwards if you're holding in tree. If you lose your balance and wobble and fall, that's okay, just come back into it. And if you're folding, inhale, look up. Exhale, stay there. Inhale, slowly rise to stand, and then release the bound foot. And we'll take that straight to the other side. Just take a breath to gather your sanity, your balance, and then come into the second side. If you've got a wall near you like me, make full use of that if you find yourself wobbling. So coming into tree or half lotus. If you're taking half lotus, reaching the left hand around the back, catching hold of the foot, and then folding forwards. And remember, we're only folding forwards if we're in the half lotus variation and have the bind. If not, we're staying in tree and we're not folding. And on your next breath in, look forward. Exhale, stay there. Inhale, slowly lift on up. Maybe with a little bit more grace than me, but we're coming back up to stand, releasing the foot. Just take a moment into Tadasana, wiggle it out, and then come to the top. Oh no, that's a lie. Extending the legs out wide, we're going to take Prasarita Padottanasana C. So from here, take the arms out wide and take the hands behind the back, interlacing fingers. Inhale, lift the chest, and then exhale, folding forwards. Slowly, slowly come on up to stand, taking hands to hips, and then heel-toeing the feet in. Now we're coming back to the top of our mat, Tadasana. Inhale, lift the arms up. exhale, fold it down. Inhale, half lift. And then exhale, step back to plank, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. All right, we're ready for our peak flow. Hopefully we're feeling nice and warm. On your next inhale, reach your right leg up towards the ceiling. Bend the knee, open up the hips. Maybe taking wild thing if flipping your dog is in your practice. Lifting up the hips, reaching the right arm behind you for your back bend. And then gently making your way back into a downward facing dog. From here, stepping your right foot in between the hands and making your way up into warrior two. From here, straighten through the front leg. We're coming into triangle, so maybe shortening your stance if that's what you like to do. Rotating chest up towards the ceiling, and internally rotate your left shoulder, wrapping the left arm around the back, catching hold of the right hip crease. Rolling the left shoulder back. Turning the gaze down, bending the knee, and then finding your full bind from your side angle. Feel free to pause this video if you don't have the bind and you want to grab a prop, a strap, or a rolled up tea towel works well. From here, taking the gaze down once again and then stepping the left foot forward. And we're going to come into our bird of paradise, so feel free to stay where you are. I'm just shuffling to come into the center of my mat. Shift your weight into the unbound leg and then begin to lift up your bound leg coming up to stand. Maybe from here straightening that right leg, maybe falling like me. It's all good if you fall. If you take classes with me regularly, you'll know that balance is not always on my side, and that's okay. We keep practicing. So we'll have another little play with Bird of Paradise for a couple more breaths. And then once you've had enough, coming back down, coming back into your side angle, releasing your bind. And then making your way through runner's lunge, step back to plank and flow through Vinyasa. Alright, second side, lifting the left leg up towards the ceiling, bending the knee, opening up the hip, and maybe stepping it behind the right leg, coming into wild thing, flipping your dog, lifting up the hips. Nice big back bend. Slowly coming back through downward dog, and then stepping the left foot in between the hands, coming up into warrior two. And we'll hold our warrior two for a couple of breaths. And then transitioning into triangle. And once you're in triangle, internally rotating the right shoulder, reaching the right arm behind the back, catching hold of the left hip crease, and keep rolling that right shoulder back. Okay, turning the gaze down, we're bending into the knee, coming into side angle, and coming into our full bind, reaching the left arm underneath the leg, catching hold of the hands, or finding your strap or other prop. And then we're going to come into our bird of paradise, so stepping the back leg up, shifting the weight into the right leg, beginning to lift up the left knee, lifting it nice and high, finding your balance, or maybe not finding your balance. I think I'm really wobbly on this side, maybe straightening through the left leg. Whoa, maybe wobbling a lot. If you fall, just smile and try again. And then when you're ready, making your way back into side angle. And then making your way through runner's lunge and flowing through Vinyasa. Are we just flowing out whatever did or didn't happen, letting it go? It's all fun and games. Lowering the knees, take a child's pose. You deserve a little bit of a rest. Nice coming up through your knees and then slithering onto your belly. Coming up onto your forearms, we're going to take half Bekasana. So bending into your left knee. Your right forearm is going to come at a bit of a diagonal towards the left hand, and then reach the left hand back, catching hold of the toes, and then gently guiding the left foot to the outside of the left hip. Maybe flipping your grip, and then turning the gaze forward once again. And think about rolling onto the left hip point. Release, bending into the right leg, and we take that to the second side, so catching hold of the toe. And then gently drawing it to the outside of the right hip. And rolling onto the right iliac crest, so it's the right hip point. And then release. Come to lie down, taking the forehead down. Just resting for a moment, giving the hips a little bit of a wriggle. Then we're going to take bow pose. So bending into both knees, reaching back, catching hold of the ankles, keeping the feet flexed or pointed. And once again, trying to find a sense of rolling onto the hip points, drawing the belly in, and then lifting everything up, lifting the chest, lifting the legs, trying not to let your knees splay out. And then lowering down, take a moment to rest. Give the hips another little shake. And then from here, sliding the hands next to the ribs, come up into our upward facing dog. And then take it back, downward facing dog. From here, sliding the right foot forward, coming into pigeon. Just taking a moment to set up your pigeon. If your hips are away from the ground, taking a prop underneath them, like a yoga block, maybe under the right hip, if it's away from the ground, or a bolster or cushion underneath both hips. If there's any pain in the knee, then abandon ship, come out of this pose and take ankle to knee on your back. But if your knees are giving you the green light and saying it's okay, we can fold forward and breathing into any sensation you're feeling into the hip. Slowly making your way back up, tucking the back toes and stepping back into a downward dog. From here, sliding the left leg forward and we take pigeon on the second side. Once again, any knee pain, please come out of the pose and take ankle to knee on your back instead. Basically the same stretch, but we really want to take care of our knees. Slowly lifting back up and then shifting onto your left hip, swinging the legs forward, bending the knees and taking windscreen wipers side to side. Nice, straighten through both legs, coming into Dandasana for a moment. And then hugging right knee into the chest, closing the knee joint, taking it out to the side, Janu Shirshasana. If your knee is away from the mat, put a prop underneath it, just for a bit of support. And then folding forward over the left leg, just catching hold of wherever is available, but not pulling with the arms. So we're using our core and our pelvic floor to draw us deeper into the fold. So drawing low belly in, and then using the pelvic floor, drawing that in to elongate the torso to fold. Slowly come on up, and we'll switch sides. Slowly lifting yourself back up. And then taking hold of your yoga block. If you have one, if you don't have one, don't worry, you can do this pose without it. And come to lie down, taking the brick in between your thighs. Take your arms out wide, shift your hips over to the right ever so slightly, and then lift the knees and take them over to the left for a twist. Come back through center, and then shifting the hips over to the left, and taking knees over to the right. Release, come back to center, taking your prop off to one side, hugging knees in towards the chest, and rock gently from side to side. And then making your way into happy baby. Taking knees into chest once more, and then extend legs out. Lying down, coming into Shavasana, final resting pose, closing the eyes, and we'll take a couple of minutes of rest. Gently soften your attention, bringing awareness to your breath. Taking a deep breath in through the nose and out the mouth. Finding movement in fingers and toes. And when you're ready, bending into both knees and making your way onto one side. And then pressing up to a seat, keeping the eyes closed. And sitting up nice and tall. Take some big shoulder rolls. And we'll take 2 breaths together. Inhale, reach the arms up. And exhale, sweep them down. Inhale, reach the arms up, taking hands to prayer. And then exhale, bowing forward. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed today's practice, and I hope to see you again very soon.